chance Ja Morant plays there?
Unfortunately, no, but fortunately, he's avoided a serious injury, and that's a big positive.
What's the mindset of the team coming into a Game 4 like this?
Well, the same as it has been throughout the series, which is keep improving game by game. If we look at Game 3, first half was our best basketball in this series and close to being the best basketball we played all season. And it's going to take us playing with our identity, making sure everybody does their job at a high level and does it consistently enough.
When Ja was out the second half of Game 3, you didn't really open up the rotation. You stuck with the guys who had already been playing. Is that the plan again today, or does this open up an opportunity for someone else to get in the game?
I think it's very difficult to play with a 7-man rotation against the intensity with which we want to play, but also the defensive pressure that they put. So we are going to keep playing more guys today.
What have you made of the impact that you've gotten from a couple of those guys, Scottie Pippen Jr. and Zach Edey specifically, in their kind of larger roles in this series?
Yeah, they're just like everybody else, you know, they're paying their dues also in this series, and I've been very encouraged by Zach's improvement also from the first game on, where he felt a little overwhelmed with the tempo and the physicality of the game, and then game by game improving, and also his impact improving on both ends. Obviously, Scottie's last game, and especially the beginning, was tremendous, and he's been doing those things for a while now, and especially great to see the consistency. The only challenge we have is that we are pushing those guys all the way to the limit, you know, in terms of the fatigue and all the other factors that go into it without any rest in between. So that would be the biggest challenge.
Vince Williams Jr., at least before the injuries and stuff, it felt like he would be kind of a big part of your team this season. Why hasn't he played much during this playoff series?
We've tried to have lineups out there that complement each other in the best possible way. OKC has also done some cross-matching, and a lot of times it becomes about, okay, who do we prefer in this slot over the other player, and Vince unfortunately hasn't really had a chance to show what he's capable of doing, and that's what sometimes happen in playoff series, but we have full trust in him and going to the future.
Anything else? Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
what have you noticed when you kind of go back and watch differently with Memphis in terms of when they're playing more through Ja Morant as opposed to Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. being bigger focal points when he's out?
I think generally Memphis has played better in every game in the series. You know, they obviously weren't themselves in game one. They were better in game two, and they were at their best in the beginning of game three for sure. You know, obviously Morant being out takes out a point of attack player for them, but they've played a lot of minutes this year with Bane and Jackson out there, and are comfortable doing so. You know, there's been good lineups for them. Bane with the off-ball stuff, he finds stuff in transition. Jackson, perimeter, post, you know, all that stuff. They know what they're going to with that. It obviously changes them when they're missing a player of Morant's gravity, but they also have a comfort in that he's missed time this year, and you know he doesn't play 48 minutes a game.
Mark, AC was talking about the perfectionist that Chet is the other night, and he was saying that sometimes his role is to help him get out of his own way. Do you see it that way? And I guess how has Caruso helped in that sense?
Yeah, I think, you know, basketball is an imperfect game. When you're early in your career, especially when you're ambitious and you hold yourself to a high standard, which all of our guys do, but certainly Chet, you want things to go well. You want to play well every night. One of Chet's best qualities is he's insatiable in terms of wanting to play well and wanting to compete well. And I think, you know, you learn over time that it's not a perfect game, and you got to be able to play through the imperfections of the game or the series or whatever it is. And he's learned that. He's definitely more seasoned in that way. But Alex is incredibly seasoned in that. You know, he's got a lot of miles under him. And the other night was a great example. Like, Alex missed a layup the other night. He had an ugly turnover in the second quarter. You know, he had a highly imperfect game, and yet his fingerprints are all over that. He keeps himself in the game mentally, regardless of what's going on the scoreboard or for him individually. And that's great leadership by him, how he kind of walks that walk and gives him great credibility in his ability to, talk to the other guys about the same thing.
Mark, it just feels like when Dub has had the ball and is orchestrating, there's been no hesitation. He's been extremely decisive and confident. How have you seen that growth, the quickness of his decision-making on the ball improve over the course of the year to kind of get him to this point?
Yeah, he's worked hard for that. You know, he's just because he's a great player already doesn't mean he's not still a growing player. He's great because of his versatility, size, his athleticism, and his every night effort is his best quality. And so the floor for him is very high as a player. He had that from the jump, and he's a great player because he's good at everything. But he's still growing in a lot of ways, and certainly growing as a creator. And when we're kind of pushing his button, and he's really worked at that this year, and he's worked through ups and downs with that. He's had some games that have looked ugly, but that's the price you pay to get better. You know, you got to lean into being aggressive, and he's done that. So he's earned the confidence that he has at this point in the season.
Anybody else? All right.
All right, sorry to wake everybody.